Welcome back to Off Guard. I'm your host, Austin Rivers, along with my guy, Pausha Haghghi. We are back. Got another beautiful day ahead of us, and more importantly, we got a beautiful episode ahead of us.
Yeah. We're going to talk about face of the NBA and ratings being down.
Man.
No, I'm just kidding.
Just very interesting stuff.
We're talking about the Lakers?
Listen, if you want to tune in to ESPN, you're more than welcome to get full coverage of the Lakers.
You sound like Charles Barkley right now. Taking shots.
Listen, man, I was there for a full year, and yeah, we talked about the Lakers every day. So if you want full coverage,
also in their defense, the Lakers did make the craziest trade in our lifetime. So
last year
they finally had.
I was talking about last year.
Oh, well, then yeah,
no,
they saw LeBron James last year.
It's a daily thing.
Well, you know what? I don't think we're going to talk about him on this episode because I'm making today's episode about the Cavs, man. It's been too long. We always talk about them a little bit. We're like, yeah, they're having a good season, but we don't really believe in it.
We've talked about them in depth.
No, this is the second 15-game win streak of the season. Come on, man. They're 55-10. I want to really get into it. They're 55-10.
Right.
Let me give you some stats.
Okay.
As a team, they shoot 49% from the field, 39 from three, 79 from free throw. Like 49, 39, 79 splits as a team.
Yeah.
They're not I think they're not a fluke, man. I feel like everyone's talking about them like, well, I got to see them beat the. No. I think I'm ready to give the Cavs. They're the favorites in the East, I think.
No. But they do look really good.
Even after the Celtics lost last night?
Brother, I don't give a damn what happened in the regular season with the Celtics. I just don't. Unless they're like in the back of the East or in the middle of the pack, then there's like something to cause for concern. I could care less that they're the 1 or 2 or 3 seed, nor do they.
Can I ask you a question?
No one's beat.
A fair question?
Yeah, man.
Listen to it open-mindedly. Come on. Last year, we did the same thing with the Nuggets. They had just won the title, and we're like, I don't care about anything. Whatever they have going on all season, they're going to win.
I'll tell you the difference, but go ahead.
They had just won the title, and all year we talked about, the Nuggets are the favorites.
I knew you were going to do this.
And then the Timberwolves came, a hungrier team.
Yeah.
Similar to this Cavs team. With a star like Anthony Edwards, Donovan Mitchell. A great cast around him.
Yep.
And then they beat him. This isn't like the Warriors on their dynasty run, where like the Rockets are good this year with James Harden, but it's the Warriors. The Celtics won 1 title. And we're going to give them the pass?
This is why. They have the same team returning. So, and if anything, they're more improved because they've got a new weapon in Peyton Pritchard. So, when we compare Celtics to a depleted Denver team, Denver has not been able to retain or sign anybody pretty much since Tim Connelly has left. I've said that multiple times because it's the truth. They have just depleted every single year and gotten worse and worse and worse. Thankfully, due to the brilliance of Nikola Jokic, they have been able to maintain. Last year, correct, we did say those same statements. I'll give you that. But they lost a lot of key pieces, and they're not the same team as we all know. Now, Nikola's still great. They still have some weapons, MPJ, Aaron Gordon, Jamal Murray. But they lost, again, a lot of key players for that team that was a part of that championship run. This is not the same case for Boston. They got the same exact team as they had last year, except Payne Pritchard is now one of the best.
He'll win 6th Man of the Year.
Of course. It's a lockdown. It's like a giant gap between him and anybody else. So they're just a better team. Do I think their regular season success really matters for them? No. I think they just need to be at one of the top 2 or 3 seeds. They're going to go in the playoffs. And I really do believe Boston's just going to beat everybody. I don't believe anybody can beat Boston 4 to 7 games. I just don't believe it. I just don't.
Okay, so this isn't just one of those weird years where a team wins 60 games and they're really good, but we don't know what's going to happen in the playoffs. The Cavs are on pace to win like 68 games. That's an all-time season.
No, Cleveland is a force, and they are the team to contend and beat Boston. I don't believe New York is. I don't think they have the depth. I think those guys have logged too many minutes. They're having the same issue. The fact that Mikal Bridges has had to, I don't know if you saw that, had to go up to Thibodeau as if Thibodeau still hasn't learned at this point not to overplay
players. My favorite part about that is apparently he framed it as we should give the bench guys more looks. In reality, he's like, man, we just got the starters need a little break. But he framed it the smart way. That's a strategic way to frame it for sure.
Thibodeau just hasn't figured this out yet in his many years of coaching, not to continually run his guys into the ground. Yeah. You would think something like that would change after like he saw his Derrick Rose tear his ACL.
Well, even last year, obviously, they were limping into. I mean, they would have beat the Pacers, at full strength. They were up 2-0 with OG,
Yeah.
and he was healthy. And by the end of the series, there was no one was out there besides DiVincenzo.
And he's still at it again, just overplaying his guys, running them to the ground. So nothing's really changed with Thibodeau. With that being said, Mikal Bridges had to come in the office and be like, "Hey man, we gotta cut back on some of these minutes here." Whatever. Regardless, the Knicks are a really good team. I like watching them play. I don't think they're deep enough, or just overall as a team, just good enough to beat Boston. I think the only team capable is Cleveland, because you look in the East. If you take out the Knicks, Philly's a disaster.
I like Milwaukee's star power against the Celtics, but they would have to play a perfect game.
And Giannis would have to be nothing short of spectacular, which isn't impossible considering he's just one of the all-time greats. But yeah, I like Milwaukee too, but I just don't see them beating Boston either. So when we talk about in the East, who do I have contending Boston? It's Cleveland. They have the size, they have the depth, they have the star power. It looks like now they have the continuity, they have shooting, they get it done on both sides of the ball, they have good coaching. They don't really have any weakness. The weakness that they have is they have not done it before, right? Similar to OKC. Now, they're not the same team. OKC's a lot younger. But as a team, getting over that hurdle, doing well in the playoffs, playing when the pressure is the highest, when the game is different, there is a giant difference in gameplay between preseason and regular season, just like there is from regular season to playoffs. It's just that big of a difference. I need to see a team perform in that type of climate before I just hail them to be the new champs of the Eastern Conference. Just respectfully, I've seen Boston do it. It took Boston time. They failed many times. They got upset, lost. They had to figure out ways to win in the playoffs. They struggled to do so until last year, just to be fair.
Yeah.
It's not an easy thing to just do. So I understand Cleveland's having a lot of success. They're having a historic season, not only for their franchise, but for the NBA. They are playing way better than anybody thought they were going to play. They've exceeded all of our expectations. Donovan Mitchell's having a fantastic year. Him and Garland have really found ways to thrive together and coexist.
How do you feel about that statement that they're the all-time bag court, as far as backcourt with the best bag, those two? You got Luka and Kyrie last year.
Yeah, Luka and Kyrie were ahead of them. But as of for this year, they said all-time. Well, listen, at this point, the way they're playing and winning games, they could feel themselves.
They are very shifty.
Yeah, they could. Well, Garland is one of the more shifty players in the league. He's a top. Yeah. Darius Garland's like a top 3-4 handles in the NBA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know where you were going with that. I was like, I didn't know if you were going to. Okay. Well, who would you rather have? How about sidebar? Who would you rather have? De'Aaron Fox or Darius Garland? In a vacuum. It's a tough one, right?
When De'Aaron Fox. Just with size. I think he can get it down on both sides of the floor. And in terms of clutch, not to say that Darius Garland isn't.
Oh, but I think De'Aaron Fox won the clutch award. So
De'Aaron Fox is a guy that really closes games. Well, he just had a game winner the other night with San Antonio. Obviously, he's not on a team that's as competitive, so his talents aren't really shown in the light right now. But that will come soon, especially when Victor gets back next season, I'm sure. And we'll see what happens this summer in terms of drafting and what else they're going to bring in. With that being said, yeah, I put them up there. Bag work. I mean, right now in the NBA, they're definitely one of the top duos in the league. You can't even deny it with their team record. In terms of shiftiness and bag work, yeah, they both have plenty. Donovan Mitchell, his bag is silly. I mean, he does stuff all the time when you're watching a game. You're like, good God, what an athlete. He does that wraparound with the Kyrie, putting the ball over people's heads, but he does it in a way where it's just, it doesn't even look natural. He's a very gifted player, very gifted scorer. Listen, I'm a fan of the Cavs' this game overall. I love Kenny Atkinson. Always been a fan of his. Evan Mobley has really turned into the player that I
think that's what makes them different this year.
Thought he could be, and we hoped. We kind of were hard on them last year because I wanted more from him, and I always felt that he had. It's funny because like when you talk about bigs, people go like Tim Duncan and Kevin Garnett. These are such extremes. I don't like to throw those names out there. And then if you could shoot, they go Dirk. It's always an extreme. Anybody who's long, Kevin Durant. let's just take the nuttiness away. I don't know what he is. I just know he's just really talented.
Yeah.
And I wanted him to be better than what he was. He is now that. He's now an all-star. Now he's thinking confident. I mean, he's talking about him and Wemby doing things in the future. That's what you want to hear from a big.
Is he the second best player on the team?
Yes. Evan Mobley's the second best player on the team. Garland would be third. Jared Allen would be fourth. And then you just go down that list from there. Jared Allen's huge for them too, just in terms of interior depth and defense. Yeah, they have everything. So we can go down the list. I just still have Boston winning. It's tough for me to see that team, especially with Porzingis in there. It's tough for me to see that team losing 4 out of 7 games.
Yeah. I'm going to keep throwing stats at you, and I'm going to see if I can weaken your stance here. What if I told you minutes per game, Donovan Mitchell leads the team with only 31 minutes per game. Garland's at 30, Mobley's at 30, and the rest of the team's in the 20s and less.
No, that's great.
That means they're not only are they going to win maybe 60, late 60s games this year, they're also not burnt out, and they're going to be pretty fresh.
It doesn't help. It doesn't help the case at all, considering that
Okay.
Boston has nights where Tatum has 16 because their two guys have 40 and 40.
Yeah.
So they get the cruise all season long too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Donovan Mitchell this year, let's talk about his season. He's averaging 24, 5, and 4. A step back in the statistics, but I think that's just nothing to do with the fact, other than the fact that the rest of the team is shining and he's just kind of being able to do that. But it takes a lot of maturity for a star to do that.
I think in today's age, we have such a necessity for stats, and we have such an intrigue in guys putting up numbers, 40, 50 points, 10 3-pointers. It's everything. It's such a flux of just the evolution of basketball. But numbers, performance, we don't grail commitment. We don't grail maturity. We don't grail sacrifice. Donovan Mitchell is capable of averaging 30 a game. It'd be counterproductive for the Cavs. He has taken a step back statistically for his team to take 2 or 3 steps forward. So was Garland. It was understood that those guys were doing too much of the ball. Too much was going on between them. Remember, they couldn't figure it out. They both were playing their best basketball when the other one was hurt or out. Now they're coexisting. They've also taken a step back for the emergence of Evan Mobley. All right? They've taken a step back so guys like Ty Jerome and Hunter, their new acquisition, can have success. So even though Donovan Mitchell, a guy who could average 30 points a game because he's that explosive on offense, even though he's taken 4 or 5 points off his points per game, his assist, his rebound, all these things have kind of taken a couple knocks back. It's been for the betterment of their team. And now they have an all-around dangerous team.
Yeah, they have a different guy that leads them in points, rebounds, assists, and blocks.
And in what we see now, and this is what happens in our culture, and I get it, it's just how it works. It's always been this way. We talk about MVP race, right? We go into Cola. We talk about stats. He's first in this, and he's second in this, and Shea, he's first in points, and it's all these. Nicola's first in this, first in this, first in this, first in this on in his team. He leads his team in 4. That's what we do. It's not a good sign. It means your team is not that well-rounded. Okay.
Well, does that hurt the Celtics then? That Jason Tatum leads
No,
them
because it's close. You know, I mean, and that's one of the very rare exceptions. I'm still blown away by that he's able to lead that team in every statistical category because he has so much help. You usually just don't see that. Like when Steph had Kevin and Clay and Draymond, Steph didn't lead them in every category. They all had their own little niche.
Isn't it weird that Jason Tatum leading them in assists in these other categories actually makes me like that's a positive to him. While it would be a negative for other people, it's a positive for me that he's more well-rounded. I think his well-roundedness is very underrated.
All Jason Tatum is done is just made it harder and harder for you just not to like him. At this point, if you don't like him, it's just more of a personal thing.
You just don't like the Celtics.
You just don't like the Celtics, which is fine. Just don't pretend that you're like coming to the topic unbiased. Or like you have a subjective, like, bro, just enough of the Tatum slander. He's a good dude. It looks from everything I hear, and he's a hell of a player. So we're gonna just nip that in the bud right there. In regards to Donovan Mitchell and the Cavs, I think it's really cool when you see a player unselfishly take steps for his team to grow, even if it's at the what's the word?
The expensive, like
at the expense
individual accolades
of individual accolades and success. And for that, his team is better. That's a big step. And I don't think people talk about that. When we talk about Donovan Mitchell, we talk about Cavs, people just talk about all the things we're talking about, all, why they're good, what makes them good. We forget a lot of this has come due to the step back that Donovan Mitchell purposely has taken, as well as Garland. They have figured out ways to coexist. their individual success does not matter as much. Now, what helps these things? Failure. They have failed multiple years in a row. So now people are like, what's going on? Coaching change. They brought in a new coach, new ideas. A fresh start can mean a lot.
There's a big one. I hope you're going to name it.
Everyone getting paid.
Everyone getting paid. I think it just changes how much in the locker room do people talk about if you're on a contract year?
100%.
It's just always on your mind, right?
100%.
It's a cloud over the team. You don't know where a guy's going to be next year and things like that.
And that's the big reality of it, because at the end of the day, this isn't free work. All right. These guys get paid for their service. These guys get paid for what they do. These are professional athletes. When money is not in question, it frees up any bullshit in the locker room, because now everyone's got theirs. And every major player for the Cavs has got theirs. So at this point now, it ain't about the bread. It's about what we're doing as a team. Everyone can get outside of themselves. You got a new coach. You've failed the past couple of years, came up short. People are questioning you guys, undervaluing your team, if anything. Everyone got paid. It's time. And it's not a coincidence. They're now playing really well. Me and you called this. Now, I didn't call this.
I don't think anyone knew that.
I didn't know the Cavs were going to be this good.
A historic season.
We thought they'd be better, and I thought Evan Mobley would be better, and we challenged him all last year, like, yo, we want more from you. Did we think he was going to morph into an all-star this year? I would be lying if I said I thought that was going to happen. I'd also be lying if I thought the Cavs were on pace to break records and like put a historic season for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I didn't see that coming. Regardless of which, these are the reasons why, though.
Yeah.
And I think we always, in our society, always grill all the trendy, flashy things. But I think being a good leader and being very unselfish is something that's not, treated as high. And I think Donovan Mitchell really has taken a lot of steps as a leader now. He's always been a good player. And we saw the shortcomings even in Utah when they had talented teams. I think Donovan Mitchell now has figured out his pace as a player in the NBA. This is a guy who's capable of scoring 30 points a night. He doesn't need to. He has taken 2 steps back for the Cavs to take 4 steps forward. Garland has as well, not as a big of a step as Donovan Mitchell, because he's the best player. But all those main guys have figured out ways to coexist and unselfishly, statistically, take steps back for the greater good of the team and more of the well-roundedness of the team. And now you have guys like Evan Mobley and all these dudes thriving. It's only made them more dangerous.
Well, that's a great point.